What up, Space Fam? Goes in here from Anime Uproar, back at it again to discuss the latest and craziest developments in the One Piece story. And we got a big one here for you today with a betrayal, with the Straw Hats teaming up with CP0 of all things to take on the Seraphims. Matchups we've been waiting for desperately and much more, so make sure to stay tuned for this epic chapter. If you do enjoy seeing these weekly chapter reviews and want to keep them coming, channel Pirate King with it and smash that like button until you see fireworks. Join the Nakama if you haven't already by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications, or you will miss future One Piece videos and updates. And now, without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. This chapter is called Labo Phase Death Game, so it seems like Oda's trying his hand at death games now, which reminds me of stuff like Squid Games and Alice in Borderland. Let's see how dark Oda gets though. So by now, it seems clear something is wrong. Video snails acting weird, security systems not working properly. It seems pretty clear someone's messing stuff up, like Among Us imposter style. We start out with Pythagoras being asked to respond and about that mysterious explosion we saw last chapter. Daft Punk is not too bright here, assuming it was an accident, at least for now. A mysterious shadow is seen before Daft Punk loses the signal to the feed. Place your bets in the comments right now about who this shadow belongs to, and we'll see who ends up being right. You'll definitely have bragging rights if you get it right. We then jump to Zoro and Luffy. The connection has been cut and Luffy can't hear the other voices anymore. We see an image showing how the towers here are being destroyed. We then jump to Nami and Brook. Nami is looking with hearts in her eyes, you know, classic anime stuff, at some jewels, but Edison says he can't let her have them just because she asked. But in all honesty, as everything falls apart around them, it's time for pirates to grab some treasure, just saying. Thankfully, Nami is of the same opinion as me and brings the jewelry. Upon hearing that they are man-made diamonds, Nami thinks that the future sounds wonderful, as you see money signs in her eyes. Meanwhile, Chopper and Robin are traveling with Atlas. Robin even sees an artificial human in a pod. Very futuristic indeed, but looking at Nami and Robin, I gotta say that my personal favorite thing about the future are the outfits. But anyways, as it turns out, they figure out that Vegapunk can create organs, and Chopper freaks out over how awesome that is from a doctor's perspective. Then cut to Luffy, who's now coming into the control room where Daft Punk is. Daft Punk has lost communication with Edison. Then more screens and camera feeds start going out. He points out that there is someone else inside the laboratory. We then jump to Jinbei and Sanji, who are with Stussy, and Sanji keeps gushing all over her. I love Sanji, but he definitely takes things too far when he says stuff like call me your dog, and she knows how to use him though. She says as long as he can find Stella for her. Our boy Usopp and Frankie are traveling with Lilith and York. I feel like Usopp will get some cool weapons from this arc, and I hope this bubble gun that Lilith is holding is one of them. The gun, we're told, fires strong bubbles that can reflect anything. It bounces things back, so it's the perfect non-deadly weapon, and I'm sure it can be used in a lot of creative ways too, especially with someone like Admiral Kizaru coming. This group sees the giant explosion, and Pythagoras is seen on the ground, clearly hit by the explosion. The scary thing is that his head is gone. This is turning out to be like a murder mystery. Frankie even thinks that the head was blown off. Luckily, this is the future though, and when something shocks Usopp, it turns out to be Pythagoras' detached head with many legs and hands popping out, making its way to them, and even talking. I love how much fun Oda's having with all of this futuristic technology. His creativity really has free reign here, and it's great. So back to the explosion, and we're told it doesn't look like an accident but like an attack. Pythagoras says it was the darndest thing. It'll sound impossible, but I know my eyes weren't playing tricks on me. The mystery builds, and he's told to just hurry up and tell them. But he keeps the mystery going as he says, I'm forced to wonder if we made a grave miscalculation. And then he asks, where is York, and sees her with little Boa the Seraphim. York says that Edison told her to hold her horses, and she should just wait outside. As she's admiring how cute little Boa is, the Seraphim unexpectedly starts using her powers to turn her into stone. Pythagoras even told York to get away, so he might have seen the Seraphim's attack, even though that shouldn't make sense, as he said. Again, crazy to see Seraphims using these Devil Fruit related powers. And now that's one Vegapunk down, so we may only get Stella joining the Straw Hats if this stuff continues. And honestly, I could definitely see just the main body joining them on their ship, but we'll see what happens. We'll definitely miss out on great characters like Lilith. And speaking of Lilith, Lilith is angered, saying that the little boa, Seraphim, shouldn't be able to move on her own, and she tells her that she commands her to stop. Little boa doesn't listen though and launches a giant energy attack. This is looking like Dragon Ball at this point, like the Android Saga to be more specific. Now questions come rushing in. Did someone give a higher order? But that should only be possible for an elder, and they shouldn't be here yet. Was it another Vegapunk, which would mean one is a traitor, but why? Or is it something else, a miscalculation, something going wrong with the Seraphims, like them thinking for themselves, which was mentioned before too. We can't know for sure, but the mystery is definitely intriguing me. Pythagoras even says, don't they realize we're Vegapunk, when he sees the Seraphim is not accepting their orders. I also love how Frankie is speaking like a reader here, saying didn't see this twist coming, and then he wonders if he should return fire. Then they tried to contact Shaka, aka Daft Punk, but as we saw, communications have been cut off. This is getting crazy and intense. Lilith is freaking out, telling Frankie that he shouldn't attack because they wouldn't stand a chance since they designed the Seraphim to be the most powerful beings around. That sounds like an exciting challenge, but aside from our powerhouses like Luffy and Zoro, I feel like the others will have a lot of trouble. Then we jump to said strongest boys, Luffy and Zoro. They're being attacked by S-Bear and S-Hawk. My guess is they will break off Luffy fighting Little Kuma maybe, but more importantly, we'll finally get the Zoro versus Little Mihawk fight, something I've been saying will happen and dying to see. We got a teaser before, but here it looks like we may actually get the more prolonged fight. Then the crazy thing is that Zoro says they were gunning for CP0. So crazy. Who gave them that order while the other one is attacking the Vegapunks? Looks like potentially CP0 as a whole may have become enemies of the state, at least in the eyes of whoever the master orchestrator is here. I love Zoro though because even though they're his enemies, he couldn't let CP0 die. He says it would leave a bad taste in his mouth if they died in handcuffs. And then Lil Kuma launches another Big Bang-like attack. It's Daft Punk who says if they won't take orders, then they must already be acting on a command issued by a Vegapunk, and the mystery deepens. Which one would do that and why? Who is the traitor? Finally, Daft Punk deduces that between the communication blackouts and the barrier sealing them in, it's beginning to look like an elaborate plan. Someone's trying to kill them, and from what he just said, like I mentioned, it's looking like one of the Vegapunks is an imposter. But which one do you have your money on? That's the question. Let me know in the comments. For now though, Lucci and Kaku have regained consciousness, and they asked to let bygones be bygones for now so they could form a temporary alliance against the Seraphims with the Straw Hats. Lucci says, and it does make sense if they don't backstab them, that they'll be more useful outside of handcuffs. Luffy and Zoro give them funny looks of disgust, and we're told this is potentially an unprecedented team-up. I believe they will be freed because, like Zoro said, he doesn't want them to die handcuffed. Plus, it wouldn't be the first time government officials worked with pirates. Think Garp and Roger teaming up against Rocks, or Blackbeard somehow being helped by Kobe to take down Wang Ji, former Rocks pirate and former Pirate Island boss. It's a pretty hype situation, and I can't wait to see what happens, but I hope, as I've been expecting, to see Zoro taking on Seraphim Mihawk one-on-one. We have so many potential crazy matchups, including the possibility of Luffy having to fight Little Boa, which would be one of the craziest ones for fans to witness, or even Jinbei fighting his own Seraphim. Absolute insanity, and I love it. This chapter has definitely picked up the pace, and now I'm mad excited for the next one. Definitely crazier than last chapter, and I'm thankful for that. And now that the Rocks pirates are becoming more and more relevant, with even CP0's Stussy recently being revealed to be a Rocks pirate clone, you won't want to miss my new all 9 Rocks Pirates explained video, link on screen right now and in the description, where I go deep into this hypest and strongest of pirate crews in all of One Piece history.